Okay, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to you Akim out there that push this word in truth and in sincerity. What you Akim that's got to finish watching is a military drill between Tajikistan, if I'm saying it correctly, and the Russian military. They was doing a joint military exercise practicing. And at the very same time, the very same day, you were at the Chinese military doing military drills. Also, you got the Indian government doing military drills. You have the Iranian government doing military drills, the North Korean government, the South Korean government doing military drills. And you have to ask yourself this question: why are all these nations doing military drills? What they are doing are preparing themselves for what Esau calls World War III. But in the scriptures, it's called the War of Armageddon, which is in the Hebrew, which means Hamagadwan, and it's called the Mountain of Troops. But like I said, Esau calls it World War III. And that's why you see all these nations doing joint military exercises, drills, and preparing themselves for that day when they go all out and there's a world conflict. And like I said, Esau likes to call it World War III. That's the term he gives it. So I have a few precepts. Abaratazayu Akematu will be edified, because if you look on the social media outlet, the alternative media outlet, you're going to see all kind of videos of these different nations doing military drills, man. Joint military exercises, you know, bringing their militaries together, and for one particular reason, because they have one particular goal: to do away with the American government. All these nations are in agreement with one thing: the American government, backed by the military industrial complex, has to go. And that's why all these nations are doing mock military drills. And soon the Spirit of the Lord is going to work on their minds, and they're going to assemble them, and they're going to form a great assembly. Like it says in Jeremiah 50:9, the Lord is going to put the Spirit on these nations to form a great assembly of great nations, and they're going to come up against this whore that they call Babylon, that is spiritually Sodom and Gomorrah. So without further ado, I'm going to get into these scriptures. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which are, we are talking about the natural Gentiles, from Esau, Amalek, the Russian counterpart of Esau, the Indians, the Palestinians, and all the rest of the heathen nations out there that's preparing themselves for that great day, which is, in Esau terminology, is World War III, but we know it as the War of Armageddon. Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles, prepare war. And that's exactly what you see these nations doing. They preparing themselves for a great war by doing mock military drills, you know, joint military exercises, you know. They showcasing they air power, they naval power. They showcasing their military might. Why? Because they preparing themselves for war. Just like it says in the scriptures, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Who are the mighty men? The mighty men of these different nations, man, that's preparing themselves. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Come up to where? They're coming up to go into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is the Persian Gulf, over in the Middle East, and they're not coming back. They're going to be destroyed. So it says, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords. Now, a plowshare is a farming instrument, and what you see going on throughout these different nations, instead of them building up their infrastructure, putting money back into their government to build up the infrastructure or to invest in more agriculture, no. What they doing is investing, taking all their money and investing it into their military, because they know there's a conflict coming. You see, what we don't understand is, what people that it's not in the know don't understand is, these nations have the intel on what's really going down. And in order for you to find out what's really going down, your eyes have to be open, and you have to go to the alternative news media outlets. You're not going to find anything on the American Fluff and Puff News Network. The only thing they're going to give you that's semi-truth is the weather and sports. That's it. And what's going on within the 5 boroughs of New York City: murders, robberies, rapes, things like that, man. Other than that, anything dealing with prophecy, you have to go to alternative news media outlets to find out what's going on, so you can marry it with the scriptures, man. Other than that, you're not going to find out anything. You're going to be in the dark. It says, verse 10, Joel chapter 3, verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. And that's what these weak nations are doing. The weak nations such as North Korea, the weak nations such as Iran, Lebanon, Ethiopia, Libya, all these weak nations, they have gotten nuclear technology, so therefore they have somewhat of a nuclear warhead to attach on to a ICBM missile. Whether it's a short-range missile or a long-range missile, they are military, they are nuclear ready, and they have nuclear capabilities. That's why it says in the scriptures, let the weak nations say they are strong. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen. Assemble yourselves, that assembly of great nations spoken about in Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, the 9th verse. Come, all ye heathen, talking about all the heathen nations, starting with Esau, Ishmael, Moab, Ammon, Japheth, Elam, and all the rest of them heathen nations, man. That's what it's talking about. It says, assemble yourselves. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Now, the mighty ones are the angels. That's what it says. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, because you got the 4 angels holding back that great destruction, man. So when all this shit jump off, because right now you have the angels, the 4 archangels holding back that nuclear destruction, man. Holding back that destroying wind. Because things are not yet in place, but things is being assembled, because all these nations are doing military drills, joint military exercises. They invest in hardcore into their defense mechanism. You have all these nations such as Turkey. They invested and they got the 3rd installment of the S-400, man, missile defense system, which is totally pissing off America. Then you have other different nations such as China. They're buying the S-400 missile defense system from the Russian government. So all these nations, man, are getting themselves together militarily, man, for that great battle. But you're not going to see this on the mainstream media. You have to go to the alternative news media outlet to get what's going on.
Just days ago, they stood on the brink of a breakthrough, the beginning of the end of the Afghan war.
Salakia, that's going into the Afghan war, but we're going to go back into what's going on. That was my bad, Salakia, But like I was saying, all these nations are getting together and assembling themselves. And that was the spirit that I clicked onto that video, and it's going into the Afghan war, because That's the longest war in American history. And the Afghan government, which are them Ishmaelites, it was a video going into the history. I think it was George Galloway talking about why Alexander the Greek did not invade them Ishmaelites, man, the Arab countries, man. Why? Because it's mainly going into Afghanistan because they know it's an uphill battle. And that's why Russia military collapsed in the 70s, and that's why America's military is about to collapse. But back until these nations coming together for that great battle, for that great war. And that was the spirit. I clicked onto that. I didn't want to, but it happened. And Salakia came out there. But it all coincide in one, man. And it's all edification because they trying to end the war in Afghanistan, which is the longest war in American history, man. Surpassing the Vietnam War. Why? Because they have an agenda. It's about the lithium that goes into the batteries that power these laptops, these phones, these tablets. And it's also about the heroin that they have over there, man. And it's also a strategic location that's over by the Russian border, man, where they could strike Russia and strike China easily. See, that's why they don't want to leave over there. But it's all building up because you got these nations that's coming together like I'm speaking about, and they doing mock military drills, man. And they preparing themselves for all-out war. And that's what it's talking about. So back in Joel chapter 3, verse 11, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. The mighty ones are the angels, man. That's, like I said, is holding back this war, man. That's holding back the nuclear destruction until the elect is sealed. It says, verse 19, verse 19, verse 12. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, which means the Lord's decision or the Lord's judgment. And that's what's happening now, man. Salakia, brother, and that's what's happening. That's the Lord's judgment, man. It says, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh Shaphat, the Lord's judgment. For there will I sit to judge. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathens round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. In the time of Esau's empire that's coming to an abrupt end, in the time of war, in the time of all the anguish and pain that's going to come upon the Edomites and the rest of the nations, and also the 2/3 is right, man. We talk about thermonuclear destruction, the war of Armageddon. We talking about race wars. We talking about martial law. We talking about race riots. We talking about famine, pestilence. These things is going to come to pass right before the instituting of the Alpha D microchip, and then after that, that's Esau's ass, man. Thermonuclear destruction. And that's why you see these nations out there assembling themselves together. That's why you see these heathen nations out there practicing and doing military drills, man. It says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. The same way when you plant vegetation in the spring, on the beginning of the spring, and then at the end of summer, in the beginning of fall, that's the harvest, man. So right now, they preparing for themselves for war. They're preparing for war, doing military drills, investing in their military wholeheartedly, because they know that the harvest is about to come, which is the end of this empire where they're going to have to go to war. They know, because Esau and these other nations have intel that we don't have. They know what's brewing, what's coming down the pipe, what's on the back burner. And that's why you see these militaries preparing themselves from these different nations, preparing themselves. It says, come get you down, for the press is full. The vats overflow, for the wickedness is great. The wickedness of Esau is great. The wickedness of Esau surpassed every empire that ever ruled in the history of the world. They surpassed the wickedness of the Assyrian Empire. Esau, the so-called white man, and his empire, what they call America, surpassed the wickedness of the Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire. They surpassed the wickedness of the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire. They surpassed the wickedness during the time of the Dark Ages when Jake ruled for 1,000 years. All them empires that ruled in the ancient world, the wickedness of the American government, which is run by Esau, the so-called white man, is surpassed all the wickedness of them different nations, man, them different kingdoms. And that's why this kingdom is going to come to an abrupt end. And that's why this kingdom is going to be destroyed. It says, verse 14, Joel chapter 3, verse 14, multitudes in the valley of decision, which is Yahweh Shaphat, the Lord's judgment. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. And that's why you see all these nations are gearing up militarily to come up against America, which is prophesied in Jeremiah 50th and the 9th chapter. The 50th chapter and the 9th verse. That assembly of great nations that is being formed by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah. That's the multitudes in the valley of decision. Because all these nations they're going to turn their militaries and they're going to enter to the Persian Gulf, man. Which is going to be the war to end all wars. And Esau like to call it, the so-called white man like to call it World War III. But we call it the War of Armageddon. That's what is mentioned in the Bible, the War of Armageddon. So we're approaching the end of the age of Esau. The eon of Esau is coming to an abrupt end, man. That's why you see all these nations doing mock military drills. The Chinese government, the Indian government, the Pakistani government, the North Korean government, the South Korean government, the Iranian government, the Russian government. All these nations are having military drills, man. Mock military drills. And you can't get around it, man. You can't get around it. All these nations are coming together for one particular purpose, to destroy this bitch that they call Babylon. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 2. Declare ye among the nations and publish. And that's what we do. We go out there on the highways and the byways and we declare what's going to come to pass, man. We declare out of the scriptures how the so-called white man is going to be snatched out of his rulership, and these other nations are going to be subject unto the Israelites, man. From Esau on down to Moab, man. From Esau on down to Ishmael, from Esau on down to the Japheths. They're all going to be under subjection unto the Israelites, man, in the kingdom. Why? Because we're approaching the end of Esau's rulership. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is that which followeth, man. It says, declare ye among the nations and publish, and set up a standard. And that standard is these scriptures. That standard that we are setting up is these scriptures, man. And we are publishing the downfall of the so-called white man, which is the Hebrew red Edomites, man. They are going down. We're at the end of the age of Esau. And that's why, like I stated earlier, we see all these militaries doing drills and conducting military exercises among themselves, man. Displaying their military might in preparation of that war. It says, declare ye among the nations that publish and set up a standard, publish and conceal and say. Publish and conceal not. And that's why we give you the whole 100% truth, man. We conceal nothing in these scriptures. We give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of these scriptures, man. We bring out the prophecies and we tell you what's gone before each and every last soul in the latter times, man. We in them latter times right now, man. And we're not concealing anything, man. It says, conceal not. Say Babylon, which is America, is taken. It's gonna be how it's gonna be taken by thermal nuclear destruction, concentrated fire from them chariots when Yahweh Shah cracked them skies at the very same time them missiles are being shot off, man. It says Babylon is taken, which is America. Bel is confounded. Merodach, which is an idol that was worshipped during the time of the Babylonian Empire, man, the ancient Babylonian Empire. But you could say that Merodach is being worshipped in America now because they worshiping Serapis, Christus / Cesare Borgia, and other deities in the land of America. That's why the land of America is called Babylon, which is nothing but confusion, man. Babal, which in the Hebrew is nothing but confusion in this land. Different religions, homosexuality, lesbianism, transgenderism. The woman is usurping authority over the man. Esau, the so-called white man, is putting the woman on a high pedestal to be above the man, which is all confusion, man. And that's why the land is called Babylon, Babal in the Hebrew. It says, Merodach is taken. It's like Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces because during the time of thermonuclear destruction, Merodach or Serapis or Guadalupe or Buharia, whatever goddamn deity or idol or false idol you worship is not going to deliver you from them nuclear missiles, man, from them concentration camps. So everything is coming to an abrupt end in America, man. Everything is coming to an abrupt end. Verse 3, for out of the north there cometh a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate. And what nation is that out of the north? Talking about the Russian government, starting with the Russian government and its allies. Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, Pakistan, India, even the United States government's own allies is going to come up against her, such as Great Britain, France, and Germany. Also, a part of the Russian allies is going to be Libya, Ethiopia. These nations that been up the bow, which are ICBM nuclear missiles, going to come up against America and totally destroy it. And that's why the earth is going to reel to and fro like a drunkard, pursuant to Isaiah the 24th chapter, the 19th verse on down. The earth is cling dissolved. What's going to make the earth cling dissolved, man? Them nuclear missiles. Certain parts of Russia is going to be destroyed. Certain parts of Iran. Certain parts of China. Certain parts of Pakistan. Certain parts of India. Certain parts of Libya. So forth and so on. Certain parts of Great Britain. Certain parts of Germany. Certain parts of France is going to be destroyed. And that's why the earth is going to rock to and fro like a drunkard. Because you're going to have missiles being shot off from the northern hemisphere, which is the east, the northern country, which is the Russia, which is the eastern, from the east to the western hemisphere, from the western hemisphere to the eastern hemisphere. Back and forth, man. Missiles are going to be shot off. Intercontinental ballistic missiles are going to be shot off, man. It's going to destroy this bitch. And that's going to rock this bitch and rock this earth off its axis and make it real to and fro like a drunkard. It says, for out of the north there cometh up a nation, which is Russia, against her, which shall make her land desolate. How's it going to make the land desolate? Through thermonuclear missiles. Also concentrated fire from them chariots. And none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. What's going to make them remove and depart? Thermonuclear destruction. Because nothing is going to be perceived. Nothing is going to be dwelling in this land after thermonuclear destruction. After the concentrated fire from them chariots, from them laser beams. Nothing's going to be perceived, man. Nothing. The laser beams from them chariots, that concentrated fire, with thermonuclear destruction is going to destroy this place. And that's why it says in Jeremiah the 50th chapter, the 3rd verse, They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. Why? Because it's going to be concentrated fire, man. Thermonuclear destruction. The land of America is going to be totally destroyed, man. Right along with them gutter rats that call themselves Israelis, man, which are their counterpart, which are their allies, man, to the end. To the bitter end, America's going to defend them gutter rats. Last scripture. Last precept. 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 13. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. Whose right hand? Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai's right hand. And that bow is a silo that holds the nuclear missile. It says, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss. Now the arrow represent, like I said, an ICBM, supersonic, hypersonic, or thermal nuclear missile. That's going to be shot off, man. It says, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss. Why? Because they're going to be laser guided. And first and foremost, they're going to be spiritually guided by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And then they also going to be laser guided. And they're going to hit their mark. They're going to hit their target. Whichever the nuclear missiles are slated to hit, they're going to destroy their target. And they're not going to miss. It says, when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world, like I stated earlier, from the western hemisphere to the eastern hemisphere, from the eastern hemisphere to the western hemisphere. And that's going to make this earth rock to and fro, like a drunkard. Because missiles are going to be shot off, man. And certain parts of different countries is going to be destroyed. Certain parts of Russia, like I stated earlier, certain parts of China, certain parts of Iran, certain parts of Pakistan, India, Ethiopia, Libya, certain parts of North Korea, certain parts of Great Britain, certain parts of France, certain parts of Germany. But guess what? All of Israel is going to be destroyed. All of America is going to be destroyed. But the only difference is the first fruits, which are the international bankers, the first fruits of slaves, which are the international bankers, are going to be the ones that build up. That's going to be the ones that start to build up the land of Israel. It says, verse 14, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return until they come upon the earth. In which them plagues that is spoken about in Zechariah the 14th chapter and the 12th verse are thermal nuclear missiles. That's the plagues, man. It says, behold, the plagues are sent. Which them plagues is explained explicitly in Zechariah the 14th chapter, the 12th verse, what them plagues are. For the interest of time, I'm not going to get it, but you Akim out there, you can get that. Zechariah, the 14th chapter, the 12th verse, explains what them plagues are. It says, and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. Verse 15, it says, the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth, like as an arrow is shot of a mighty archer, returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon earth shall not return again. Because once them nuclear missiles is shot off, man, you can't turn it back, man. Just like you shoot an arrow off from a bow and arrow, a regular bow and arrow, you can't return that arrow. You can't tell the arrow to come back and go back into the arrow with bow in your hand. It's not going to happen. Just like when they shoot up the nuclear missiles, it's not going to be called back. Neither could it be called back. It's going to hit their designated targets, man, and destroy this bitch. We at the end of the rulership of Esau. Slakia. We're at the end of the age of Esau. And that's why you see all these militaries doing drills and joint military exercises because they're preparing for war. They preparing to come up against America wholeheartedly, man. And what's going to happen is, like I said earlier, America's going to be destroyed. And that's why you see all these nations preparing for war. Because like I said earlier, these nations and these dictators and these kings know what's going on behind the scenes, in which they are not telling the public of these different nations, man. They're not telling the public, man. Your eyes have to be open. You have to measure the times, man. And when you have to go to the alternative news media outlets to find out what's going on so you can marry with the scriptures. Hey, Akim, stay circumspect, be strong, continue to pray, fast, and endure what we're enduring in this wicked-ass land that they call America, man, which is spiritually Babylon. Stay strong, Akim. And with that, once again, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Hey, Shalom.